and work, strategic brand integration work, I want to say, for the past 20 something years now. I don't know, that dates me. I did start in corporate. I had a good corporate start. Back then, I was working more hours than I would love to admit. And, it wasn't the best start to a marriage and raising a family. But I did learn a lot. I was part of the team that started that whole campaign for Dove's campaign for real beauty way back when, and so that kind of jump started my career into brand consulting, and so that's when my business partner and I, we decided to found Your Brand Story, because we saw a gap between the visionaries, or the people that had all the good ideas, and how it was implemented and translated. And so there's always that unique piece of the puzzle in the middle that we wanted to be a part of and to support. And so that's how Your Brand Story came to be. And through the last couple of years, working with different companies, different entrepreneurs, different visionaries, on how that translates for them and the people that they work with. So that's kind of how everything started, and that's where I am now.
Amazing. I love hearing your story because it is a little bit unique, and there's always some overlap with my own and with the stories that I hear of my clients. So tell us a little bit about what you call the challenge of this integration gap, and what shows up as this that you see with your clients.
Yeah, so often I feel it's an integration gap when you start to see, you have an entrepreneur, a visionary, somebody in corporate that has a great idea. They have something that they want to bring to life, and it's fabulous, right? I'm sure there are people that are listening that say, oh yeah, that's me. I can relate because I have all these good ideas. And then it kind of falls apart, or doesn't come to fruition I don't want to say it falls apart, but it doesn't come to fruition as you try to implement it, right? On the other hand, you have all these good agencies, all these people who are fabulous at carrying out instructions and ideas and building it, right? But then they don't necessarily have the strategic vision, and that's pretty much how Your Brand Story started. So they get lost in the doing. And so there's that middle piece that I found, and my business partner and I, when we first started, we found that was very key, because we were kind of the translator or the conduit between that vision or that strategy to how it's carried out or how it's perceived. And it involves all the pieces of your brand. And so that includes what the look and feel is, how you communicate, the people, actually, the values that your company's founded on. And that's why I use the analogy of the puzzle pieces coming together, because your brand isn't just what it looks like on the website or what your social media shows. Your brand is a more holistic view of everything coming together, and how that comes together, so it aligns and it doesn't burn you out. It actually helps drive growth and people to you, and you have the team and the group that you can work with to bring it to life and make an impact. I think that's what most people want these days, is to create an impact in the world.
Yes, yes, so many do. And it's really a talent to be able to speak with clarity and to bring together all of the ideas of entrepreneurs and business leaders, to put them together, as you say. I love your analogy of the puzzle pieces fitting together so that it all becomes a clear picture for their audience, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And you have been a member of the Shine Circle for a little
Yeah.
bit now. Tell
Yeah.
us what principle of the Shine framework resonates the most with you and your message and your audience. Maybe there's one or two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love the Shine framework. So I think I always have said Debbie's a genius for coming up with it and for sharing it with all of us. Because every time we do something, it's like, oh, it matches. We can always pick something of it, right? So Shine is, S is self awareness, H is healing, I is intuition, N is nourishment, and then E is empowerment. And I know there are other words that belong in it. I want to say everything starts with self awareness. So what we do, we always start when I start with clients, when I start with the people that I work with in our leadership momentum accelerator, we always start with your own self awareness, because then that leads to everything else, and that helps you be clear, or the people be clear in terms of how they can relate to other people and the who, right? It's not always about just you doing everything yourself. And so it's about who else can you bring in to support you to carrying and bringing this vision to life. So you're clear. When you're clear, they're all clear, and everybody can follow clear direction.
Yeah. So the S in Shine is the awareness. And you
Yeah.
actually use a couple of different tools to help
Yeah.
people become a little more aware of themselves, right? Tell us about those.
Yeah, so that was part of my journey as well, because I said, how can I be more effective in communicating myself? So again, the self-awareness started with me. And over the pandemic, we're meeting people and trying to see how we can help them, how they can help you. I discovered DISC. So DISC is a personality and communication tool, and I certified in it because I personally, it was for selfish reasons. I wanted a better relationship with my own husband and my kids. And, we all have different ways of communicating and different ways of receiving that communication. And that's where a whole lot of misunderstanding stems from. It's like, this is what I'm saying, but you're receiving it differently because of the filters that you have. So I certified as a human behavior consultant, and I started using that with my clients. And I believe with people we've worked with, Jen, we've used it as well, because we've done it where we've supported some of your clients too. And then I've done it as well in workshops. So for teams to be able to have that awareness for their leaders, for themselves. And then of course, we're always learning, we're always growing. I discovered another tool because that was something that another partner from a client, it just kind of falls into your lap, and they said, well, you actually feel like you're very strong. Your genius is a discernment. And I said, what does that mean? And discovered Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius. And he created this book. So for anybody that's listening, Patrick Lencioni has several books on dysfunctional teams, leading teams. And then now he has this Working Genius, which is more a productivity tool. So I decided to also certify in that, and I've used it as complements to each other, DISC as well as the Working Genius. Some clients choose to start with DISC and move into Working Genius because that's about team productivity and team efficiency. And once you understand what your team members' geniuses are, you can now make certain decisions as to where they best fit in the entire organization, in the entire group. Even the people that you work with, doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on corporation with a team, but maybe some strategic partners that you have, or members of your family, because everybody works in a team of some sort. So personal, professional, it all falls into place. So those are just some of the tools that I decided to use for me and for the people around me.
I love how you integrate life and work. It starts with your life, and you realize how powerful and how useful and impactful it can be in business as well and for your clients. And so this is one of the ways that you help them close that integration
Yes.
gap, is by understanding who they are and how they can serve best.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. It's been very impactful for my clients.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. And it's for us to continue on, right? To be able to do that for your clients and other people's. But I guess, one of the things that I know to be true for me as well is that I don't want my work and my personal life to be separate. I can't, I've done that in the past where I would, and you have those mentors and well-meaning people that say, okay, when you're at work, you turn everything off, and then when you come home, you turn the other side off. And it just was a lot of sandpaper and a lot of not clicking. And so I suppose my life curriculum has actually been, how do I always integrate it where I can be a mom, and I'm not compromising that, and I can be a wife, but also somebody that supports leaders and people and companies. And I've used it as kind of the value that I operate off of, when I agree to work with people. They understand that I'm also a mom first, and my calendar has, I mean, I have a senior that's graduating this year out of high school, so I'm making sure that we have time together. But at the same time, I know I have certain meetings that I have to take, and so it's a little bit of that juggle. I always say the juggle is real, but how does it seamlessly come together so that I don't feel like I have to choose? If that makes sense. I know that was kind of an off tangent, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, but it's really helpful because leaders are not just leaders in the workplace. They're leaders everywhere they go. They're
Yeah.
leaders in the home. I like to say we're leaders as we show up at the grocery store.
No,
Everywhere
it's
we
true.
go, we
Yeah.
have a brand that we're carrying with us. And so we titled this episode Scaling Your Time and Your Team Efficiently. Talk to us a
Hmm.
little bit how closing this integration gap helps us scale our time and our team.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we see is that it feels like, as a leader or as somebody that has a team, or you're starting a business, you're in the middle of building a business or scaling, a lot of it falls on the person themselves, and that leads to burnout, that leads to demotivation. You're finding that you're taking on things that you don't necessarily love, or don't feel as good as, so it's taking longer, right? And so one of those things starts with understanding, like, what is it that I love to do, what is it that I am good at, what am I trying to do to carry it out, right? And then who are the people that I need, and then you start to find these people that can complement you and do the things that you don't love to do, so that, and they're good at it, right? And then they're able to do it much faster, so that scales, your time and your team, as well as potentially the systems. We're in this world of AI. There are a lot of systems that we can add into our business and our team, so that we're utilizing it effectively, and teaching the people that you work with how to use it, so that it again carries out your vision. So it's all about not necessarily taking more things on yourself, but I always love to look at who are the people and what are the systems that you can put into place, so that it's not all on you.
Mm. I love the ideas of systems because, as an ex-accountant,
Yeah.
systems is what we relied on. And I always saw the benefit of that.
Yeah.
I I would love to take a little bit of a turn because
Okay.
you've seen this issue and this topic from several different perspectives.
Mhm.
You've been the leader, you've been a team member,
Yeah.
you've seen it from a outside consultant's perspective.
Yeah.
How does when you think of leaders in, say, a corporate environment, I remember being really unaware that I had my own personal brand within
Uh,
the organization. And so I'm curious if you could share with us what is it important to be aware of how you're
okay.
showing up and your own personal brand? And
Yes.
what happens when you're unaware or if your brand is not really quite what you thought it was?
Yeah. And it's perfect because I was part of a group that did workshops for managers in the organization. And, they were I want to say they're a top 500 company. And one of the things we talk about is that everybody has an opinion about you, whether or not you intend it, right? They form their opinion already based on an interaction and experience. Um, so why not make it more intentional, right? And that's how people get promoted, that's how people get transferred to different departments, because somebody's taken notice of you in a positive way. And so that could potentially affect, like, oh, hey, let's see if Jenny would be a fit in this organization, or maybe she's up for a promotion because of something the impression you've made on someone, right? And so that kind of begs the question then of why not make it intentional? Why not be more self-aware, so that you can show up, and that's how people will perceive you the way you want it, the way you intend for it to be. And I think that was a powerful discussion that we had in that group, of, okay, well, how are people seeing me? And it also started that conversation of who are the people that are giving you feedback. It's like, hey, I just wanted to understand, what's your impression of me, what are you hearing about me, and for you to be able to take all of that in as positive, constructive feedback, to say, okay, this is something that I didn't intend to do but I did love, so how do I show up more that way? Or this wasn't what I intended, but now they have this perception of me, how do I correct it, right? And then that becomes a journey on its own, and the development of your own personal brand, of starting with your values, and then how does that translate in how you interact with people, what you say, the words you use, and all of the above.
Yes, yes. What have you seen as maybe some of the symptoms of not being aware of your own personal brand? Like, what shows up in the results, in the workplace, in the culture,
Yeah.
when you're not really aware of how you're
Yeah.
showing?
Well, I mean, it's stuff that you've also shared as to why this podcast and why you do what you do. Is one, so many people feel burnt out. They're tired, they don't find joy in what they're doing in the workplace. They feel like as they put something out there, it's almost like you're pushing a boulder uphill. For entrepreneurs and for other companies, they don't see the growth in their business as well. And oftentimes, as an entrepreneur, we end up being the bottlenecks of our own businesses, right? And so a lot of it is, I need to release the reins, but then there's also that fear of, well, if I trust this person and then they don't carry it out, then how is it going to, make it easier on me? It starts to come back. So those are some of the things that I've started to see, and or people are like, I want to do this, but I'm also scared. Like, if I start expanding, it takes up more of my time. I didn't build this business to be a slave of my own business. I wanted the freedom and the impact and all the things. And so how do you make that, again, your time and your team more effective, so that you can have that and you can still grow and you can make the impact and all the good things that happen. I'm using my arms and going this way as you go out. Yes.
Yes, it's so good. And I'm just showing some of the comments that are coming through here. And guys, if you're live and you have a question for Jenny, feel free to type it in the comments, because we can see them. And I am popping them up here as I see them.
Awesome. Hello,
But
Debbie. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Therese. I'm seeing them live too, so it's good to see you.
yes, yes. So, Jenny, what is one thing, share with us what's something that our leaders can do when they're in this role and they're starting to notice a little bit of burnout or some lack of joy.
Yeah.
And they're maybe not aware of exactly what's going on or how to fix it or what really the core issue is.
Right.
What might be one thing that they can do to maybe become more aware or to recognize what might be the first step that they could take to help getting out of that place of maybe not having clarity, not having integrated their personal brand with the way that they desire to show up or the message they desire to share?
Well, that's a great question, because again, I mean, I immediately went to the S and the E on the in the Shine framework. So if you're a leader and you're leading yourself, you're leading your team, you're leading a business. It takes a little bit of humility to say, okay, maybe I need help, and maybe I need help in understanding what I'm missing, right? Because some people will say, oh, this is my vision, I've got to protect it. But I always say we aren't here, we're not meant to build, and we're not meant to do this life alone. And there are other things that people, to be open, I think that's the other thing, is that to be open to the perspectives that others have, that they can share with you. Now, of course, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take on everything that you see or hear from everybody, but there might be a trusted group of people that you can rely on to be honest with you, because they care about you and they care about your success. And so the first step is to be humble enough to ask for that. And I think step 1.1 is is the choice to be able to accept and receive that, because some of the things that they will give you may not necessarily be what you want to hear. But again, we go back to that whole piece of choosing. So if this is something I'm not comfortable with or I didn't love, then what do I do with that information? And for somebody that's in accounting and CPA, and I heard it as well in a podcast, that all that people rely on is data and information. And that's really where everything comes from, because once I have that, then now I have a more empowered and a more informed choice to decide how to move forward with it.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And yes, the accounting world and many other industries is very data driven. And
Yeah.
sometimes we can think of things that we used to call softer skills.
Uh-huh.
We can actually translate them into data. Because
Yeah.
for example, when you give assessments, you get data about an
Yes.
individual's personality, their
Yeah.
communication styles, what they
Yeah.
love. These are
Yes.
what we used to call softer areas that are actually can be data driven.
Right. Well, and businesses, as much as they drive a dollar value, they really are built on people. I did see it in somebody I work with that I value very much. One of her homepages says, your team and your people are your most valuable asset, and it's like, that's very true, because again, we can't do things alone. And so it merits having the people around you to help complement what it is that you're doing, and to help carry that forward, so that you can have that vision move forward. And yeah, that's essentially what it's always built on collaboration. And I believe we talk a lot about collaborative leadership. And the assessments are not there to make you feel wrong or to make you feel less than or better than, right? It's, again, just as you said, information. This is how I receive information. This is how I share it. If I know that it's different from how you receive and how you share, then now I can make that choice to adjust and meet you to where you're at, and vice versa. And so, again, it's just information. Once I understand somebody's working genius, then, oh, no wonder it takes her much longer, it takes him much faster to get this task done, It doesn't make me feel bad. And I've started to understand and accept that of myself as well, where I see people and I'm like, how they do that so fast? Why are they not tired and they feel like they can keep going? I'm like, oh, it's not made to make me feel wrong about it, but to say, great, now can you help me? Because then I really don't love doing it. I don't enjoy it. It burns me out. But if you can help me, then we get to a much better place. And I mean, I see Debbie's comments coming in the chat. I'm going to reference her math. It's 1 + 1 = 11, because once you're able to find that, then you can definitely scale your time and your team effectively. I did not mean to make that sound like a like an ad but kind of it just went that way.
Yes. Well, Therese says, that's me. How did they do that? Right? And sometimes we get in our own bubble and we think the things that we don't like doing, nobody likes doing. So I don't want to give that to them because it's kind of a grueling task. So I'll just do it myself.
Yes.
But there's actually people out there that like doing the things that we don't like doing.
Yes. Absolutely. And they're good at it and they don't mind it. And I mean, those are some of the things that why wouldn't I invest in that? Because it definitely makes things faster. And then I can do more of what I know I'm good at, and I get paid more for that. And now everybody's just benefited. Like it's a win-win-win. It's always looking for what's that win-win-win across everybody that's involved. Yourself, your partners, your clients. I just see that as collaborative leadership too.
Mm-hmm. Jenny, what are some of the possibilities that leaders can experience when they understand the kinds of things that you're talking about, when they understand the importance of clarity, when they understand their own personal brand, and when they understand the importance of leveraging their team and the geniuses of their team?
Well, I mean, the time, right? One is time back for themselves, time back for their team, time to do the things that they want to do. Most people, let's say in a corporate setting or as an entrepreneur, they feel kind of stuck. Well, if I don't do it, who else will? I feel like that can go away once you start to trust the right people to help you with what you're doing. Better relationships overall. That's possible. I feel like what are the possibilities? It's so many things. It's what you would imagine that you'd want for yourself, right? Being able to actually help and impact more people, and actually to have, as an entrepreneur, probably to have better business, more things that start to scale for you quicker because you're in your zone of genius. And when you are, you magnetize the right people. And then everything else still happens on the other side of it. So there are many, many possibilities.
The possibilities are endless.
They're endless. Yeah.
For one, a thriving, fulfilling career.
There you go. Who doesn't want that, right? I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for being here with us today. I always love chatting with you because there's so many times when I myself personally feel scattered, unclear, and don't always know how to communicate what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I desire. And so conversations with you always help. Just being in the room with you helps. So do you have one last message that you would love for the audience to hear today?
Yeah. I mean, we are never meant to do this life alone. We're also not meant to be a one and done where, like you said, it's always a journey. We're always learning, we're always growing. And so the invitation to find the people who you would love to have these conversations with, who you feel would be a good space to learn more about yourself so that you can start making these decisions from a more empowered place. And yeah, everything I think follows when that happens.
Yes. So we've put on the screen where people can contact you on at your email, but where else, is there somewhere else you would love for them to connect with you?
Well, I know this is live on LinkedIn, so I'm happy to connect. I do have my LinkedIn open often. So email is definitely a good way to reach me. I have a website that's www.yourbrandstory.co. So not .com, co. But yeah, that's the best way. Everything starts with a conversation, and the openness to want to have that conversation. So I look forward to that.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for what you do and for sharing a small piece of your genius with us today.
Thank you.
If this conversation resonated with you, connect with Jenny on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're seeing this. Send her an email. If things feel a little unclear for you, a little scattered, a little maybe confusing, I would love to have you connect with Jenny and to bring more clarity to your leadership. And if you desire to be a part of a thriving community that would hold you accountable for the kinds of inner work that we talked about today and some of the leadership awarenesses that are foundational really to your personal and professional success, the Shine Circle is such a beautiful place to do that. It's a group of women who practice the principles of the Shine framework and hold each other accountable to our own growth. So bottom line is thriving cultures don't start with better perks and policies, although those are nice. They start with leaders who are willing to heal and grow and lead from a place of wholeness and joy. And that is the Shine Leadership Advantage. So thank you for watching, for listening wherever you are. And if you have a leader and a framework or some message that you would love to share with our audience, please comment Shine and we will connect with you. Thank you so much.
Bye.